Hi everyone, Stephen from League Goalkeeper Academy here. Just thought I'd provide a quick introduction to this video because this is something that isn't like an ordinary week for us here. So what we'd ordinarily do is catch up with our goalkeepers via Zoom, but this week we had a very special guest in Asmir Begovic, currently at AC Milan. Initially we had only 30 minutes with him, but he was very kind to stay on for well over an hour to discuss all things goalkeeping with our goalkeepers and also field their questions. There's a lot of great insight in this video, a lot of great advice, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's get started. I know we're on a little bit of a time limit. Obviously, we're very privileged that we've got Asmir Begovic on. I know he doesn't need a great introduction, but just to give you a little insight into his career, 299 pro appearances, 61 full international caps, 11 youth international caps, and 1 goal, which obviously I know a lot of you do want to hear about, so we will get to that. But yeah, obviously, Asmir, thanks a lot for coming on. Really do appreciate your time. Obviously, we'll appreciate all the input that you do have throughout the chat.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
No, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you. So I just want to really go from the start, kind of like you growing up, in terms of, I know you lived in a couple of countries before you moved to the UK, so you lived in Germany and Canada. I just, obviously, in terms of sports and cultural differences, what kind of other sports were you exposed to when you were growing up? And did you play any other sports?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just to give you a bit of a background, I was born in Bosnia, 1987. Obviously, soon after that, the conflict broke out in the former Yugoslavia, so which made me and my family move to Germany. And I spent 6 years there. At the age of 10, moved to Canada, and then spent 6 more years there before I moved to the UK, as you said. And you know, I've been a huge fan of sports. Sports nuts since I was really young, to be honest. And I was exposed to a lot of different sports growing up. I played table tennis. I played tennis. I played volleyball, basketball, baseball, just different sports. And that just because I had fun doing it, but also then, you know, you start getting to enjoy it and getting better at it and try to work on it. And my ultimate goal was always to be a goalkeeper, of course, and football was always my number one. But I think at the same time, by playing all these other sports, I actually benefited quite a lot.
Brilliant. So you mentioned that obviously you always want to play football and be a goalkeeper. At what age did you decide you wanted to be a goalkeeper, and when did you start playing the position?
I mean, to be honest with you, I was, you know, I think I was born to be a goalkeeper, in the fact that my father was a professional goalkeeper in the former Yugoslavia. My grandfather used to play the game, not quite at the highest level like my father, but so I was really born into it, and that's all I ever wanted to do. So I played my first organized bit of football when I was 5. That's when I first went into the organized side of things and played in a proper team. And from the age of 5, that's all I ever wanted to do. You know, you had people always ask me, what is it you want to do when you grow up? And my answer was always be a professional goalkeeper, and I always wanted to be one of the best in the world. And people would always laugh at you when you said that to them. But I firmly believe that. And sometimes, of course, you sounds delusional and sounds a little bit over the edge. But I honestly didn't have any other plan, didn't have a plan B, and that's all I ever wanted to do. You know, I obviously, of course, played these other sports I mentioned. I took care at school. I make sure I studied, and course, try to be as responsible as possible, make sure I had a backup plan in any case. But I guess in my head, really, it was all about my plan A.
Brilliant. You've kind of answered my second question there as well. I was going to ask you about plan B. So obviously, you played for the Canadian under-20s from 16, didn't you? Up until, was it 19? And you broke into the first team set up at Portsmouth at 17. So you was a second-year scholar. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. I joined Portsmouth at 16. Was offered my 2-year scholarship, which turned into a professional contract very, very soon. Turned officially at 18, and then step by step, obviously, try to put an imprint and try to obviously make an impact at Portsmouth and try and play in the Premier League. Of course, that was always the ultimate goal. At the same time, as you mentioned, I started playing for the Canadian youth national teams at the age of 15. So the under-15s was my first team. Went all the way up to the 21s, and even had a couple of bench appearances for the senior team. But then obviously I changed to Bosnia when my home country came calling. So that's sort of the timeline in those late teens, how things worked out for me.
Brilliant. So obviously you had quite a few loan spells as well. You went to Belgium and you obviously moved around the lower leagues. How was that in terms of you adapting to obviously, first of all, playing men's football and moving around a lot at such a young age? How did you find that?
Yeah, I mean, I had different experiences. I went to Belgium at 18, and people say it was a great opportunity to go play in Belgium first division, and you can progress your career. And at the time, it sounds great, but I unfortunately probably the club and everyone should have done a bit more homework, and it wasn't the best club. It was a club that disappeared within 6 or 7 months that I was there, and because of some legal charges, and it wasn't the best experience. But I guess when I look back at over the years, it was a great experience in the fact that I was able to go and live away from everyone. I wasn't in digs. I wasn't with my family. I had to live on my own in an apartment in a small town in Belgium, and I had to really grow up. And I think from that point of view, it was more of a character building and experience building than anything else. And then I came back to the UK, and then step by step, I went through the leagues. Went Macclesfield League 2, had 3 loan spells in League 1 with Bournemouth, Yeovil twice, and then of course Ipswich later on in the Championship. And then after that, it was when I broke through in the Premier League.
Yeah, so you obviously would have worked with some really experienced goalkeepers when you were younger. So more notably for me, it was David James and Thomas Sorensen. Yeah. So what was it like working with them? And how were they with you? Obviously, being a young goalkeeper coming through, did they give you a lot of advice and a lot of help and guidance? Yeah, I mean, different kind of goalkeepers at times, because I first started breaking through at Portsmouth when that's sort of 18, 19 age, and that's when Dean Kiley came to Portsmouth. And Dean Kiley was one of the best professionals you'll ever meet, and one of the best people in football you'll ever meet. And he really took me under his wing in that regard, and he taught me a lot, took me to training, and just chatting and being around him, I learned an absolute ton just from his presence and everything he's been through in the game. And then after that, David James comes in, and David James is a bit of a different character. I mean, he was incredibly focused. He was one of the best athletes I'd ever seen play the game as a goalkeeper, and he was very, very focused. And that's sort of the time when I was trying to progress through, and we were becoming rivals. So in terms of him looking after me, I was a full-fledged professional. He was a professional, so there isn't really that relationship of, okay, I'm going to help Asmir progress. It was about us battling, and I wanted to play. He wanted to play. He wanted to stay ahead of me. So it was about trying to compete with each other more than anything. And obviously that took a couple of years, and then I got my place in the team at one point. And then obviously I moved on to Stoke, as you said, and then I had 5.5 years with Thomas Sorensen. And that was some of the best time of my career, of course, and just from playing for the club and everything that we achieved, and also from a daily routine. Thomas and I went out at 5.5 years. We
We were great friends. We were great competitors. You know, we pushed each other every single day, and I think we gained a lot of respect for each other by doing that. And I think it drew us to other levels, you know, maybe levels that we didn't think we had. And I thought, you know, that was an incredible relationship. So as you go through the ranks, you know, you'll probably have those different relationships. When I was younger, like I said, Dean Kali, I wasn't a threat to him in any way, you know, and it took me under his wing, and I just was like a sponge, and I couldn't learn enough from him. And then as you go through the ranks a little bit more and become older, of course, and you become more competitors than anything.
Hi, I'm really sorry. I've just lost Wi-Fi there for some reason. Hello?
Yeah, I've got you.
Sorry. I just Wi-Fi dropped out for a second there. So I'm just going to move to a slightly different part of the room, and hopefully I'll be able to keep signal there. Yeah, so sorry, obviously everybody else caught that, but I missed quite a bit of it. I was just going to ask on the flip side of that, so obviously working with more experienced professionals in your younger years, obviously as you gain more experience and as you've progressed, you've had a lot of younger goalkeepers kind of come through the ranks like beneath you. So you've had the likes of Butland, Courtois, Ramsdale, and now Donnarumma at AC Milan. Is there anything that you've done different to, say, David James, where you've kind of given guidance, you've nurtured, and you've helped them along in their path?
Well, I think, you know, as you become a senior pro, as they call it, you know, I guess I'm getting to that stage. There's different ways of working with guys. Obviously, when you get to different levels, there's different approaches. You know, when, you know, I was at Stoke and Jack Butland was coming through, then of course I think you look at him as a bit of a younger goalkeeper, and you try and give him some ideas, and of course him to maybe learn or try and share a few experiences, and then, you know, you go to Chelsea, and even though Thibaut Courtois is a bit younger than me, you know, we're full-fledged competitors, and it's about fighting for that spot. And I think the way you improve each other is by pushing each other and giving absolute maximum every single day in training. So, and of course, trying to play as well as you can when you do get the chance. And I think that's the same way here now when working with likes of Donnarumma. You know, there isn't an awful lot I'm going to be able to tell him. You know, someone who's the best young goalkeeper in the world and who's played at AC Milan for the last 4 or 5 years, of course, and someone who's got the world at his feet, really. There isn't really much I can say to him. But, of course, I'm always there if he does need to ask me something. And I think, secondly, again, it's about trying to set that example every single day. You know, the one thing I've always prided myself on in my career is the professional approach every single day. And I think if I can just be around the place and set the right example, maybe some of that stuff will help him as well, and ultimately help our team. But we're competitors first and foremost, and we want to play as much as we can. And I think that's the sort of relationship we have. Now, I think with a mentorship, and I think a little bit more of guidance comes in, is more the academy goalkeepers. You know, I think if we're working with the Primavera, as they call it here, which is the academy or the under-21s, then I think that's the sort of balance where, you know, you can take them a little bit more under your wing and, you know, say to them, listen, what did you think there? Or have you thought about doing things this way? And just kind of being a little bit more on top of them than someone who's in the first team setup.
Yeah, brilliant. So obviously you've just mentioned him there, and you've mentioned how good he is. But who is the most impressive goalkeeper that you have worked with?
Yeah, I mean that's impossible to answer. You know, very, very fortunate so far. You know, I've had a lot of fun working here with Gigi, I guess, over the last 4 or 5 months. You know, we had a little break with obviously the pandemic going on, but we've worked incredibly well. David James, when he came to Portsmouth, was phenomenal. Someone who was playing at the absolute highest level. Like I said, Dean Kali made such an impact at Portsmouth when Portsmouth was almost dead and buried. And, you know, just not only his personality on the field, but off the field, you learn a lot from him. And then, of course, Thibaut Courtois at Chelsea, we worked together for a couple of years, and he's in the top goalkeepers in the world. So different goalkeepers, different times. You know, I really find it tough to rank them. I have such huge amount of respect for all my colleagues, and, you know, we know how difficult of a job it is. So anyone who can do it at the highest level has a lot of respect for me.
Brilliant, thank you. I did touch on it earlier, but how does it feel, or how did it feel at the time, scoring?
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't really take it all in. I guess you don't really expect it to happen the way it did. I guess 10 seconds or so into the game, and it just sort of happened as it happened, and a little bit of luck, of course, and everything that came with it. I'm typically not a hugely emotional person on the field, so I try and keep my emotions in check at the best of times, and that was more or less the case then. And I think now, as the years and the days go by, and you think, okay, well, that was a pretty awesome thing, and of course you realize how rare it is. So I think as time goes on, it probably means a little bit more to me than it did before.
Good. And it's still the longest goal in history?
It is
Is that
indeed.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the nice Guinness Book of World Records certificate at home, which is pretty cool. So.
Oh, brilliant. Good. I've got two more, and then what we'll do is we'll bring in a couple of...
Yeah, let's ask away. I've got plenty of time, so no worries.
So I was just going to ask as well, obviously you've been a pro for a long time now. How has your game changed as the game's progressed?
Well, I think one thing that happens in as you go through the game, of course you become more experienced, right? So you would have seen many scenarios over and over again. So I think you try and become a more solid goalkeeper because you probably make less mistakes or less rash decisions and things like that as time goes on. So I think from experience you improve just by seeing that picture many times over and over again. And I think we're all benefiting from sports science. I think whether we're probably better athletes than we ever have been. Even now I'm almost 33 and I feel just as good as I did 10 years ago. And I think now we have a lot of things at our hands they're gonna allow us to look after ourselves and our bodies and make sure that we're performing, each and every day. So I think through experience you learn a lot. I think, of course, your hard work goes without saying. You make sure your fundamentals are always on point and you keep them at the highest level every single day. So definitely through time you gain a lot through experience. And now I guess through sports science, I would say that's the biggest way we've gained, and that's probably how I've improved the most as well.
Great. And just lastly, obviously since lockdown, how have you been able to maintain kind of like your focus and your fitness? And does any of that extend through the regular season? Is there anything that you do away from the training ground that keeps you going?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had 6-week period at home. We got shut down beginning of March. Was able to come home to the UK for 6 weeks and spend a lot of time with my family, which was awesome. And I'm very good at reshuffling my energy as and when. I think you can always improve. You can always benefit, whether it's as a person, whether it's as a goalkeeper, whether it's as a father, whatever it may be. So there's always ways I think you can improve, and I definitely try to make sure I got my body right. So use that break to make sure if I had any aches and pains that I would look after them. I would make sure my fitness is as strong as possible, making sure my body is in the best possible position to be in the best shape I could be for when we did return. And we've been back training for almost a month now, so it's been good. I've had a lot of other things, like I said, my academy. I've got my goalkeeper academy, but I was able to kind of engage quite a bit with them and train with them and just get into their heads and just talk to them and be as of much use as possible. So there's always different ways, and I think you can learn. You can always watch other goalkeepers. You can watch videos. You can watch your own games from the past. We have with my academies, we film every single session, so we're able to to kind of review and analyze as much as we can and making sure they're learning all the time. So there's different ways of being able to engage yourself and keep yourself motivated and keep positive through, I guess, difficult times, as you can say.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. That was great. So what we'll do now is I'll bring a couple of people in. So when I do call your name, if you could just unmute your microphone and feel free to ask your question. So what we'll do is we'll start with one of our coaches, Ross. So Ross, if you want to unmute and come in.
Right, Matt. So my question really is, How do you deal with criticism and setbacks, and what advice would you give to like the younger keepers in terms of dealing with that?
Well, I think I have a very unique approach, that's helped me for years, and I think keep an incredibly clear mind. I think first and foremost, we as goalkeepers, as you guys as coaches, Ross and Steve, you guys would have seen, you work in your own little world, right? So we're not quite understood by the outside world, and we work in very much on an individual basis in a team sport. So we very much live in the bubble, and that's the approach I take every single day, and I have for years. I never use the terms mistakes. I never use the terms misfortune. I just use, every single day, whatever I do, I use a positive and negative approach. So, every training session, every game that I play, I try to make more positive actions than negative, and I think I don't outweigh one negative to the other. I don't focus on one, mistake. We understand, and as you go through the ranks of the game, you will understand pressure you're under, of course, and the magnitude of any action you do make. But I think when I've been talking to younger goalkeepers and what made them maybe quit the game or not be goalkeepers, it's that sort of pressure on one specific thing or one specific mistake, and that's where really I've gone away from that. So when you're a goalkeeper and, for example, in your distribution, you kick 9 fantastic balls and you miss kick 1, I like to focus on the 90% you did well. Of course, listen, we are goalkeepers. We're going to, as you go through levels, you get to elite level, you're going to nitpick, you chase perfection 100%. We want to be the ultimate best you can be from yourself. But I always want to look at the best. When you go, I always use an analogy when you're in life and you go into a driving test or you go into a math test, what's your aim? It's to pass. How'd you pass? Well, you do more good things than bad things. And that's the same. We want to almost pass every single training sessions. We want to pass every single game. Now, the higher you go and the higher you want to play at the elite level, you nitpick. And like I said, you chase perfection. 9 out of 10 good kicks is pretty good. 9 out of 10 saves is awesome. People from the outside world, because everyone thinks goalkeeper is the walk in the park. They'll think, oh, well, you should have saved 10 out of 10. But we know that's not possible. We have to have a different mindset. So I very much live in my own bubble. I'm of course my hardest critic, and I push myself to the limit most days. But I always look at it more as a positive and negative thing, and the more positive, good things I can do on a daily basis, the better I'll be over time.
That's spot on, mate. Cheers.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Right, let's bring in Oscar Berry. Oscar, if you're still on, if you could unmute your microphone, please.
Who was your idol keeper when you were growing up?
Well, my idol goalkeeper. So as I mentioned earlier, I grew up in Germany from the age of 4 to 10 in the 90s, and my idol was Oliver Kahn. So Bayern Munich legend, Germany legend. I thought he was the best goalkeeper in the world in that sort of mid to late 90s, early 2000s. I honestly thought he was incredible, and not just from his goalkeeping, from his leadership point of view, his presence point of view. I thought he played the game at an incredibly high level, and he was my idol growing up.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Let's see. George Havelock.
Hi there. What advice would you give to a young goalkeeper who's sort of suffered with sort of injuries at the beginning of his season, and it sort of knocked his confidence? How would you sort of advise, or what would you sort of, so that lad would move on?
Can I ask whether they were impact injuries or are they like muscle or body injuries?
An impact injury.
Yeah. Well, I think impact injuries, listen, ultimately what you have to accept, as I said earlier, goalkeepers are incredibly different breed. You have to accept some things are just part of the role. It's nature of the beast. People are going to score goals on us. We have to live with that, right? So we don't want that to happen. But same as impact injuries, we put our bodies through a lot every single day. I've broken fingers, I've broken bones in my body. So that's what I say about impact injuries. Some stuff you can't control. What I would say is, as I mentioned earlier, as you get into professional rank, but I think if I think back, maybe I could have done this a little bit younger, is to just take care of yourself as well as you can. I think if you can take care and eat well and hydrate and sleep well and look after your recovery, then you're going to minimize those things. And I think just to overcome it from a psychological point of view and confidence point of view, just accept that it is going to happen. Listen, I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But you're going to get hit. The ball's going to move. It might hit your finger. You're going to go into 50-50 because you're diving at someone's feet, and you might get injured. So just accept that is the way it can happen, and just switch yourself right into the positive mindset. It's happened. Move on, and just look as to how quickly you can be back and what you can do in your power to be back as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Let's go to Dylan Henderson, please.
My question for you is, what advice would you give to a goalkeeper our age to reach the top of your game?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, hard work and commitment and sacrifice goes without saying. I mean, that's to be successful in any way of life. You know, when your friends are at parties or with girlfriends or whatever, you're training, you're sleeping, you're resting, whatever you need to do to make sure you're in the best possible shape for that next session, that next game. But the one thing I would say to you is, I would be incredibly open-minded to all your coaches, because I think back now, and when I've played highest professional 15 years, but even the youth levels before then. And I would remember something, you know, coach telling me at the age of 14 something that I still use today. So just be open-minded to your coaches. Make sure you listen to your coaches, because you never know how their feedback and how their advice can implement in your game, and how you can improve your game. So I think that's something people say, oh, a coach doesn't like me, or a coach doesn't want me there. But just be open-minded, give it your best shot every day, and you never know when something they say might register with you to make you a better goalkeeper. So that's what I would say has been a big thing for me.
Right, thank you.
Brilliant. Next one, Joe McMahon. Is he still here?
Hi.
There he is. All right, Joe.
My question is, in each country you've played in, who had the best fans?
Who are the best hands? I thought, honestly, who are the best hands goalkeepers I've played with? I'd say Dean Kiley was spot on. He was incredibly technically sound. That's what I learned from him, you know, just to make sure your basics are always right, your fundamentals, because even as you go on, you get older, go through the ranks and try and play at the highest level, it always goes back down to basics, making sure your basics and fundamentals are the core and the base of your game. And then you build from there. So I would say that was Dean Kiley.
Thank you.
I think sorry, Asmir, I'll just step in, because I do know Joe's question. I think it might have been lost a little bit. He asked who are the best fans. So it's either best fans.
The best fans. I thought you said
hands. No, it's still a great answer though. So it's still great advice from my point of view anyway.
Oh, the best fans. Do you know what? That's I've played with some really passionate. I mean, the Pompey crowd, when used to play for them, was awesome. Fratton Park, back in the day, was dancing. I mean, it just helping all. Whenever it was a big occasion, I mean, every game was a big occasion, so that was a big thing. Stoke, when they got loud at the Britannia Stadium, was incredible. Back then, Chelsea, the bridge can get absolutely rocking. And here, AC Milan, I mean, I'd probably say the most passionate fans I've ever seen are the AC Milan fans, because it's like a religion here, and they're absolutely incredible.
Is that all right,
Hope
Joe?
that answers it. Sorry, Joe, but anyway, you got two answers for the price of one. There you go.
Brilliant. How much time have you got left, Asmir?
Yeah, no worries. I'm free for a little while.
Right. Let's go. We'll try and get through them all, and then maybe it's about 10 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, if we've got Harry Telfer, are you still here?
Yeah.
Harry? There he is. Right.
What was the worst thing you've done as a keeper, and then the best thing you've done?
What's the worst thing I've done? Worst thing I've done? Actually, you know what? I've been lucky. I got sent off once in a youth international game when I was like 18. When I went out running up my area, and the striker took it past me and hit my hand, and I was sent off. So that was great. Probably would have liked to take that decision back. There's not much I could have done about it at the time. And then probably the best thing, I guess, was playing in a World Cup in 2014. That long scoring goal, winning the Premier League, those couple things are good. But I'd say playing at the World Cup was the best thing. That was probably the best thing I've achieved in my career and done so far.
Great, brilliant. Hayden, are you here?
Yeah.
There he is. Do you want to ask your question?
Right. Who's been the best defender you've worked with?
Who's been the best goalkeeper I've worked with?
Defender.
Best defender I've worked with. John Terry. I'll go with John Terry. For me, the best defender in Premier League history, and then just also his him as a person, on and off the field, just a great guy, really great leader, and was very, very fortunate to share the dressing room with him for a couple of years.
Great, thank you.
Great. You did just touch on it before, but we'll bring in Dan Davidson.
How did it feel to win the Premier League?
That was pretty cool. You win a couple. I've won a couple trophies in my career. 2008 FA Cup, I was part of that team. We had a great run there. But the Premier League, when you look over a whole season to achieve what we did and with the players, and it's a special feeling because, yes, it's a memory of winning the league and you get the medal and all that kind of stuff. But it was just a group of guys that came together, and we're inseparable. And I thought, whenever you can kind of be part of that, it really sticks with you for a long, long time. And so it was a really, really cool experience.
Good. Right, Callum Aston, you still here?
Yeah.
There he is.
Right. Who was the best attacker you've ever come up against?
Oh, that's another good question. So the best player I've ever played against attacker, I'd say Cristiano Ronaldo. Very fortunate to play against so many good players, Messi and Aguero and Ibrahimovic and everything else. But Ronaldo, I played against him numerous times. Remember one game for Portugal, he destroyed us. We lost 6-2. We had a man sent off in the second half. But it was just one of those games where, we just couldn't stop him. And he's a problem every single game for any team you play against, but just unstoppable. I mean, you make him go left, he can shoot left. You make him go right, obviously he shoots with his right. Make him shoot from distance, he goes top corner, free kicks, everything in the air. He's incredibly strong. So for me, just the best overall player I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Great. Luke Aiken.
Hello.
Yeah,
hello.
fire away, Luke.
Hello. I just want to say thank you for your time. Much appreciated. How would you stand out from other goalkeepers to show your commitment to coaches and scouts to work up?
No, it's well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be with you. And second of all, to answer your question, I think one of the first things you need to do is obviously show 100% commitment. I think if your work rate, your professionalism is spot on every single day, then that's always going to give you a chance to impress coaches and make sure you do the small things and listen to the details. Make sure you're always on time. Make sure you help carry balls in, equipment in, just all these little things. I think that coaches then understand there's a good person there, there's a good character there, and that's something and someone they'll always have around, because when you get to the professional game, obviously you're going to have a lot of characters and egos and personalities. I think if you can be one of the good people and good goalkeepers and good personalities, and of course from that point of view, you'll always make a career. And then secondly, I think what stands out is consistency. You know, that's what separates a lot of goalkeepers in the highest level, is whether you can do something for the long term. And what allows you to do something for a long time is to make sure your fundamentals are always right, because you don't want to break down in your game. You don't want to break down in your skills. And I think if you can consistently perform at a long time, that's something that really a lot of people will look for.
All right, thank you.
Right, Ben Lou.
Hello.
There he is.
What's the hardest thing about being a goalkeeper?
What's the hardest thing about being a goalkeeper? Well, saving shots is not easy. I mean, we have a really tough job. But I think the hardest thing is listen. You know, people would say probably, you know, mistakes or things like that. People, the pressure you're under. But for me, it's just the general toll on your body. When you do this for a long time, you know, we throw ourselves on the ground every single day, and it takes a big toll on your body. So for me, it's about making sure I do everything I possibly can to look after my body, because that's my work, right? I work with my body. It's what, you know, ultimately keeps me going. So I think the hardest thing is about the toll it takes on your body. So, you know, the earlier you can get on top of it and make sure you look after it, the better.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Rob Gifford.
Hello. Who do you think is the best goalkeeper in the Premier League at the moment, and why?
Who's the best goalkeeper in the world at the moment? Is that the question? Yeah.
No, best goalkeeper in the Premier League at the moment.
Oh, in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah.
Who's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League? That's a tough question. There's a lot of good goalkeepers in the Premier League. I'd go with Alisson at the moment at Liverpool. What about you? What do you think?
I think it's Edison from Manchester City.
That's good choice also. Good choice.
Thank you.
Could I go back to your first point there on the best goalkeeper in the world?
Yeah.
Who's your opinion?
Who's the best goalkeeper in the world? That's a good question as well. I would say probably a short list. You know, one between Alisson, Ter Stegen, Donnarumma, or Oblak.
Great list. Yeah, I've got those.
I don't know how you choose. You know, Steve. I don't know. Like, like us as goalkeepers. Like, I honestly, I think these guys, everything. You know, everyone who plays the highest level, it's just fantastic. It's awesome. So like, how could you say one's better than the other? Like, it's really tough for me, I think, unless you have like what fans always do. Well, like, I'm Liverpool fans, of course I'll say Alisson because that's your connection. But for us as neutrals, I think it's just a joy to watch these guys.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of very, very high caliber goalkeepers at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah.
Right. Rob, I'm going to ask your second question. So I quite like this one. Rob was also going to ask, what's your favourite of your 4 penalty saves?
My favourite penalty save? My favourite penalty save, I would say for Bournemouth, actually, away to Crystal Palace, 90-something minute against Benteke. I think if you ever save one last minute and it will secure a result for your team, then obviously that's a huge one.
Brilliant, thank you. And we'll go on. Well, the last question of the ones that I got sent in. Callum Brooks. You still here, Callum?
Yep, yeah. Right, my question will be, what team did you support as a kid and why?
So I supported Bayern Munich as a kid. Goes back to your question about my hero, Oliver Kahn. So I supported Bayern Munich growing up in Germany. They were the team. They were just an awesome to watch, and I really liked them as a club and everything. So Bayern Munich for me.
Yep. Cheers.
Who's your team?
Arsenal at the moment.
Arsenal?
Well, not at the moment, but
Not at the
yeah.
moment. Who is it at the moment? Liverpool.
Arsenal. Cheers.
So that was the end of the questions that I had sent in. How much time have you got? Are you...
Yeah, I'm still around. No problem.
If anybody else does have any questions, so I know we do have a few other coaches in. So if Paulo, I don't know if you want to come in and ask a question.
Yeah, cheers, Steve. Yeah, my question is, what's your favourite manager you've worked under?
Oh God, that's a good question. I'd say Jose Mourinho. You know, it's only for 6 months, but you know, I thought he was just a great person, a great character. Just his knowledge of the game. You know, obviously when you're at the highest level, tensions are high. So whenever it doesn't quite go well, it can break down very, very quickly. But you know, just his knowledge of the game and the way he treated people, I thought he was pretty awesome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Stephen Brass, you got a question?
Yep. Good evening, Asmir.
Hey, how are you?
How are you doing? Not so bad. Just a quick one from a coaching point of view, Asmir. How would you say your training sessions have changed from when you first started in the game to where you are now? And on the back of that, what do you want from a coach as a professional?
A lot of parts of that question. That's a really great question. So first and foremost, you know, I think the best goalkeeper coaches that I've worked with, obviously, I think they have a certain philosophy, right? So they have their own way of working. And the best thing for me as a goalkeeper when I get matched with a coach is the fact that if you can speak the same language, right? So if someone's belief is a goalkeeper should be able to do this, and that's sort of my style of playing, then that's going to be great. If someone brings me in and just to kind of try and mold me to something that I'm not, that kind of thing become very, very difficult. So I think it's very much trying to partner yourself up at the professional level with a goalkeeper who you can really relate to. I also think the best goalkeeper coaches always went on, you know, I guess you're talking about professional level. They never plan too far ahead. You know, obviously you always have the opponent in mind, and our training is so much based on what we have to face the next game. But they also very much are like how the goalkeeper's feeling, you know, what's going on with them and their mind and everything else, because it's all about meshing everything together, right, to get the best out of it. Because if you know, 3 weeks ago planned that you're going to have a blast on a Monday, and you know, but what if like the goalkeeper had got a knock on the Saturday, you can't go ahead with that or something. So I think this very much the communication part is incredibly important, you know, to make sure you guys are always on the same page, and making sure you both feel really comfortable with what you want to do and achieve. And I think the last thing I would add is just, you know, how has it changed? Well, I think a lot of it's changed because training now is very much connected with the team. You know, it used to be quite separated. Obviously, you're training by yourself and you sort of see you later for small-sided games, where now you're much involved in possession drills and phase of play, build-up play. So there's much more ways the goalkeeper's involved now than potentially in the past. So I think the outfield coaches kind of get involved a little bit more as well. So that's very much how it's changed. You know, I was 15 years ago, I was still doing strength and conditioning sessions on top of my on-field sessions. So that's changed a little bit, but you know, that's been a consistent part of working for many, many years, make sure that everything's right for both fronts. But ultimately it's about trying to be on the same page with your goalkeeper as much as possible.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Asmir.
Thank you.
Right. Stephen Waite, do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I'd love to. Save it till last.
As always.
No, my question was, when you worked with Dean Kiley, he used to say that he shaved his head and made his appearance look a certain way to give himself sort of an edge in games. Is there anything that you do to give yourself an edge in any games?
No, I haven't shaved my head. No. I actually didn't know that. That's a great fact. I didn't ask. No, I think there's ways people think like, you know, the bright colors that goalkeepers wear that can get into a striker's mind if they see you. But no, I really just focus on my game. Focus on making sure that I'm as well prepared and doing as much I can during the week as possible. You know, and then the 90 minutes will be what they'll be. You know, there's only so much you can control, right? But ultimately, I guess my approach to anything, whether it's training or game, is to whatever I do is to make sure the striker beats me. I try not to beat myself and give the striker too much. So I think whatever I can do just to make them, you know, have that bit of quality to beat me, then obviously I think you'll be in a good spot.
Brilliant, thank you.
Right, what we'll do is, I think that's potentially the end of the questions, unless anybody else does want to jump on and quickly ask.
Yeah,
we've got a quick. Oh, yeah, we'll go. Jack
Hi.
Patterson.
Hi. How did you deal? How in your mind what goes through it when you concede a goal, and how do you pick yourself up after?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways. So in a game, you know, I've understood that when you concede a goal, and obviously something like that happens, that life does usually go on, and the game has to go on, and you try and keep those things to an absolute minimum. Obviously, nobody likes to concede. We understand it's going to happen, but ultimately, our goal is every single day in training or in a game, to keep that to an absolute minimum. So, what you have to do is you have to really move on quickly and focus on the next action, because that next action is the most important, whether that's a save or whether that's a cross, whether it's a distribution part of your game. So I think it's just about moving on. And then what you do is with your coach and or parents or whoever you're analyzing your games with, then you look after the game, go back over it the next day and think about, okay, did I do a lot more good things than bad things? What can I learn from? What can I improve? And how can I get better the next day?
Yes. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Can I ask a question?
Oh, yes, of course you can, Jack. Go for it.
What is the hardest team you've ever played against?
Oh, the hardest team I've played against. I honestly thought, right? So I thought that the 2015, 2016 Paris Saint-Germain team was the best team I'd ever played against. How they didn't win the Champions League that year, I'll never know, because they had an incredible team. You know, you had your Trapp or Sirico in goal, and Thiago Silva, David Luiz, Thiago Motta, Verratti, Blaise Matuidi, Pastore, Lavezzi, Ibrahimovic, Lucas Moura, Cavani. That's just such a stacked team from top to bottom. And I thought they were formidable. You know, they had physical, they had technical players, speed, power. They had absolutely everything. So for me, that was that 2015-2016 team, PSG.
Thank you.
Steve, could I ask a question, please?
Yes, go for it, Dylan.
What goalkeeper gloves would you recommend?
But Steve, are we going to get on to my gloves?
I was going to give you a little bit of time, man. I know, obviously, I haven't had a chance to get out and show them yet, but I've currently got 4 pairs of your gloves that I am testing. But yeah, go for it. I know this is an easy answer.
There you go. Well, I wear my own brand. I started AB1GK, which is Asmir Begovic goalkeeping, about a year ago. So I wear my own gloves, and obviously I've been in touch with Steven, because we're going to try and get them to you guys as well, and hopefully, you know, get you guys some deals on these gloves, and hopefully they'll be stocked up there, and hopefully every single one of you will be wearing my gloves. You know, that's the ultimate goal. But I hope you like them. I wear the Impact Uno Icon Negative Cut glove, just on personal preference. I've worn tighter gloves, I guess, for more years. Some guys like the roll fingers, some like a different cut, the round cuts, which is a bit of a mix between roll and negative. So it's very much a personal preference, but I wear the negative cut gloves. So make sure you check out AB1GK, and hopefully Steven will be bringing it up to you guys very, very soon, and maybe we'll announce a little partnership, and you guys can have some really good deals and get some really good quality gloves for some good prices, which I'm sure your parents will be happy about too.
Yep. Great. Thank you.
Please, can we ask one, Steve?
Yes, go for it.
What's your favourite club that you played for?
Favorite coach?
Favorite club?
Favorite club? Favorite club? Are you gonna make me choose? I don't. I'll upset someone. Honestly, I've had such cool experiences. I'm like incredibly blessed. Like every club has treated me so well. From Portsmouth when I first came to England to then Stoke. I've really developed some incredible relationships with those people, and I think that's gone a long way for me. So, but I'll say, listen, just because it's now, AC Milan has just been a gigantic club with a history that's. Oh, there you go. Oh, I didn't see that.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Oh, nice, nice one. So let's go with the Rossoneri.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool.
Right, we'll go with one more because I can see he's been waiting patiently. Actually, I've got two more, so we'll go. Let's go with Tyler first.
Hi. I've had injury. I've been having massive injury the last season or two, where I've had a cut open leg, and it's been affecting quite a lot of me performance. But quite lately, I've been doing quite well. But is there any way to get over an injury whilst you've still got your active career?
Yeah, it's injuries. Injuries just an incredibly tough part of the game. It's hard to accept, as I said earlier. You have to understand that you're gonna get injuries one way or another. I think impact injuries are less controllable because it's a 50-50 bang play, and sometimes you just get involved in something you can't do. And yeah, I ultimately all I can tell you really is to make sure you stay positive. That's when you are injured, is the people around you that really matter. For me, it's my wife, my family, my kids, who help me get through any tough times and make sure I stay positive. And it's a setback, but then as soon as kind of like conceding a goal, it happens. Okay, how are we going to get back? Soon you're going to flip that switch to what's my goal, what's my end goal, how can I get there, and how can I turn this into being more of a positive way of thinking rather than negative way of thinking. So I think it's just about that mindset. It's about the people around you, and then after that you try and do all the little things that you can to make sure that you're as fit as possible, and your physical side of things is taken care of.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got a question.
Go for it, sir.
Have you always seen yourself as a goalkeeper, or have you fancied yourself as any other position?
No, I'm always a goalkeeper. Like I said, I was, from when I was born, that's all I ever wanted to be. That's all I ever did. In hindsight, maybe I should have tried a couple other positions just from a technical point of view. And now with the game being a little bit different than it used to be, maybe I should have done that. But I have absolutely no regrets. And that's all I ever wanted to do, was to be a goalkeeper, which I think is the best position on the field.
Okay. Thank you.
Steve, can we ask something?
Yes. Yeah, go for it.
Hi there, I'm Luke's mum. So I just wanted to know what advice or support you'd give the parents to help support their child.
Yeah, well, that's a great question as well, because I've kids of my own, so I know that you as a parent sometimes feel that a lot of pressure with obviously your kids and what you can do. I think just being there for them. My dad, of course, my mom always pushed me to be on the educational side of things in school, work, and making sure I was the best person I could be. But I think from my dad, everyone was always like, oh, are you going to play football like your dad? Are you going to be better than your dad? And there was always that pressure, but he was always just there for me. I never any pressure. What I wanted to do was what he would do if I wanted to go and train, and let's train. Of course, he pushed me at the right times, but at the same time, take the pedal, step off the gas when needed to. So it's a fine balance, but just being there, being that balance board, because even now, we have good games, bad games, injuries, whatever happens, and your parents are always there. I think the fact is they're always there on the phone. They're always there to be able to speak to me and making sure I'm okay. My mom always calls after every game to make sure I'm healthy and fine, and win, lose or draw, they're always proud of you. So I think I think for a parent, as easy as it sounds, or maybe as simple as it sounds, just being there for your child every single day or every single time they do a sporting activities is the most important thing. And I think that's something that I treasure now, looking back at all my younger years.
Thank you.
You want to ask one more? That?
Yeah, go for it. What we'll do is we'll make this the last one. So I'm conscious that we've gone 55 minutes, and obviously we're very appreciative of Asmir's time. But yeah, go for it, mate.
It's sort of two-part. So firstly, it's what like pre-match rituals would you say you have? I know like goalkeepers like Ben Foster have like mentioned that before games they take themselves away and they'll play like Scrabble or Countdown and stuff like that. Do you have any specific pre-match routine that you do? And secondly, what would you say like your future holds? So like, what is like over like the next couple of seasons? What's like your goal?
Well, to answer the first part of your question, do I have any special rituals? No, I don't have any special rituals. You know, I like I said, make sure I eat the right things, make sure I'm hydrated and all that kind of stuff on the day of the game. Try and sleep the night before as well as I can, and then, you know, you usually get to the stadium the same time roughly, which is an hour and a half before a game, and I think it's more of a routine. You know, whether it's you need to get your strapping done, whether it's you need to do some stretching or activation activities, whatever it is you need to do. And then you develop a routine. You go out and warm up, whether it's an hour or 15 minutes or 45 minutes before a game. And one thing I've actually found very important for me is that I've had the same warm up for like the last 10 years, you know, so I'm very simple in my warm up and make sure that once you find something that works for you, then you do it, because that's something you control. Everything other than that, if it becomes a superstition, if it becomes a ritual, then people sometimes psychologically get a little bit too attached to those. And what happens if you get late to a stadium, or you get stuck in traffic, or the hotel you're at doesn't have that exact food that you like? So I don't really try and get caught up too much in that. I think it's very much an hour and 10 before a game. What can I control? And making sure I have my 2 pairs of gloves, one for warm up, one for a game. You know, and you know, I put my boots on the right way, and making sure all my kind of stuff is done the right way. So I think it's more of a routine than anything that's important. And as for the future, you know, I think my primary thought is obviously to play as long as I can. You know, I've played this game for a long time and I absolutely love everything about it. And my focus is now to just, you know, leave everything on the field. That's my ultimate goal. For when the day comes and I finish, then I'll finish. But you know, I'm making sure that I've left every ounce of that I had of energy and commitment on the field. And then after, I don't know. You know, I've got my glove business. I've got my academies. You know, of course, I'll always be in goalkeeping. It's been been in me since I was born, and of course, it'll always be in me. So I'll do that. And whether I go into the media, whether I go into coaching further than that, or a front office role, I don't know. I'll try and be as well prepared as I possibly can be for that next step and find my next purpose. But you know, for now, it's very much on playing as long as I can and contributing on the field.
That's spot on, mate. Cheers for that.
Right, I know we did touch on it earlier again, but do you want to kind of explain about your glove brand and what you offer that's maybe different to what's currently on the market?
Yeah, well, listen, thanks for that opportunity, and obviously thank you for getting in touch with me a couple of weeks ago, because obviously we're trying to get the gloves obviously to your goalkeepers and that market, you know. But I really wanted to start this a couple of years ago. I've worn many different brands, and I think it's a really cool thing when I think you can put your name to it, and I think kids can, and just the next generation of the goalkeepers can relate to someone in particular. I think there's a really nice open gap in the market for that. But also what we wanted to do is, you know, I said I'm a parent too, and I've seen this, and I really don't like the way the market was going. So, you know, we offer what we believe is the highest quality of glove. You know, it's the same glove I wear now in the Serie A and Premier League, and you know, we wanted to do it at the best possible prices. You know, I was seeing gloves reaching £100 plus, and I'm thinking, if I had a child that was a goalkeeper and I had to buy 5 pairs a year, that's 10 pairs a year. And who's going to spend £500 to £1,000 a year on gloves? It's absolutely extortionate and ridiculous, to be honest. So our goal is really to produce the best possible gloves, which we do for the highest level, for the junior level, for the amateur level at the best possible prices. And so far, honestly, it's been so well received that it gives us more motivation to keep doing and then bring out some more lines and collections and keep this thing going. So hopefully you guys get involved by all means. We'll try and do something for you and give kids and parents an even better deal. But ultimately, I believe strongly in our gloves and our quality and our reliability. And like I said, I trust it every single day at the highest level. So hopefully it works for everyone else too.
Brilliant. As I say, I have tested one pair so far, and I agree the quality is really, really good. I'm really impressed so far. So it's
Which
it's
pair did you try? Which one did you like? Which one?
I've tried the Lyman blue one so far.
Okay, that's the roll finger. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
our older model of the roll finger.
Yeah, really, really good quality, good materials, well built. So yeah, as I say, once we get back out on the field, I'm looking forward to showing all the goalkeepers.
What's the rules with lockdowns? Are you guys expecting to be back anytime soon, or what's the?
I think it's getting closer. We're getting closer to being back to normal. Obviously, the Premier League's restarting in 3 weeks. We're allowed to meet more people outside the house. But for me, it's personal preference at the moment. I've got a young child. It's just about keeping safe. So in terms of getting back out on the field, it might be a little bit longer for myself. But yeah, we'll take each day as it comes, really. As long as everybody's staying safe and keeping healthy, I think that's the main thing at the moment.
Definitely, sounds good.
So one last thing. Obviously, I know we've hit just over an hour. If you could give the goalkeepers watching any advice, what would it be?
Well, listen, I'm going to keep that short, sweet. Ultimately, work hard. And there's no substitute for hard work. There really isn't. I mean, no matter how talented you are, and love what you do. Love what you do. I mean, I remember my younger years, and it goes by very, very fast. And I've been in the game a long time now, and hopefully I can keep cherishing every moment there is. But play football, love it. Like as mentioned earlier, maybe my plan B and C would have just been to stay in the game in any capacity, whether it's coaching youngsters, whether it's being involved in football clubs in any way. And I think it's the best game in the world, and just make the most of the guys and enjoy everything you do every single day.
Outstanding. Brilliant. So again, Asmir, thank you very much for your time. I know we've spent over an hour. This is going to be absolutely invaluable, everybody watching. Again, we do really, really appreciate your time. So thank you for coming on, and obviously giving up your time for our goalkeepers.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, guys, and all the questions. Really appreciate it.
Right, thank you very much. Stay safe, and we'll hopefully speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thanks a lot, mate.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.